Shabbat Tov. Bruchim Habayim to everybody who's here. Tonight is a very important night, a very special night. Tonight is a night that needed to happen for multiple reasons. Just a short week ago, last Thursday, I had the opportunity in Israel of spending a little bit of time. Last week Thursday, I had the opportunity of spending just a little bit of time with Yossi Landau. Nachman called me and said, do you want to meet with Yossi Landau? I didn't quite understand the connection at the time. And I said, sure, absolutely, it'll be massacred. And Yossi called up and said, do you want to come with me down to the area? And I think I went through the same process that a lot of you in this room went through about coming tonight as well. How could you go, but how could you not go? Who wants to know, but how could we not know? And I had the tremendous success of going. Jeff came with me, and Mark Rottenberg in Israel came with me. We went down south, we went to Netivot, and together Rabbi Yossi took us into Kfar Aza to see the holy Avodas HaKodesh that Zaka is doing and continues to do now all these weeks later even as well. And it's hard to put into words because we hear reports, we understand what we think is going on, but we have no real idea what is truly happening on the ground. And I want to explain why tonight is so important. Reason number one why tonight is important is an ADOS. It's important to realize that when we walk in the subways, when we are in New York City, in DC, in LA, people scream at us, baby killers. They scream at us, genocide. We need to be the ambassadors to understand that they are the baby killers, that they are the ones who committed genocide. Now, people are quickly reframing and saying it didn't happen, and we need to know, and we need to know firsthand that it did happen. And we need to know that we're ambassadors for truth in a world in which cloudiness and vagueness becomes imminent when it is not what happens. That's number one. Number two is Zaka is made up mostly of volunteers who have stopped their daily lives for the last now, is it 6 weeks? 6 weeks. In Israel there are people who have dropped everything to help. And there are people helping in every walk of life. There are volunteers to bring back the hostages. There are volunteers to help the families who have a father who's serving in Tzahal. There are volunteers who are helping bringing and delivering and picking fruit and all the wonderful things. And then there are volunteers who stop their lives to go down south with one promise, and that is to bring everybody and everything to Kfuras Yisrael. Every last drop of blood to Kfuras Yisrael, the holy Avodas HaKodesh. And it's our responsibility to understand the government of Israel has paid somewhat, but nothing near the cost just financially. Forget the emotional cost. Forget the psychological cost. Forget the spiritual cost. That the government has paid a fraction of what it has cost. And I'd like to say that, first of all, on behalf of the charity committee of our Shul Young Israel Lawrence-Cedarhurst, we're digging into our fundraising, which many other people in this room did in order to give a donation to Zaka this evening. And as everybody walks out this room, and you'll see what the holy Avodas HaKodesh, there's going to be a table, and I highly recommend, after seeing and appreciating what goes on, to ensure that they continue to do their work, because they went to work without knowing that they would be paid for all the equipment and everything else, forgetting all the other costs. That's reason number two. But reason number three, which is really important, is that these tzaddikim, these malachim, I was just there, and I was there 4.5 weeks afterwards. And the horror which I saw, the horror which I smelled, the depravity of the human being who makes themselves below human, subhuman, and then seeing what malachim are doing to ensure that every drop of blood, that every part of human tissue reaches Kfuras Yisrael, to contrast the depravity, to contrast what it looks like, the cruelty, and you contrast it with the beauty of what we represent, I think it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to kiss the ground that these individuals walk upon. And I'd like to ask the individuals of Zaka to stand and to receive it really, truly. רבו ישראל, אני רוצה שתדעו שיש כל כך אהבה, יש כל כך הערכה פה, בשביל כל עבודת הקודש שאתם עושים. כשאתם במצב ולא רואים ולא יודעים, שיש כל כך אהבה בשבילכם. בשבילכם כולנו אוהבים אתכם, כולנו מעריכים אתכם. Most of us could not do what you do. And we so appreciate your shlichus. It was tremendous avodas hakodesh. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn our attention to the screen. I'd like to just mention that this video is made in the last 4 weeks, and it does have graphic content for those who are uncomfortable. It is important, but it is at the same time important for us to be aware of what Zaka is truly doing. Please turn your attention to the screen.
שש וחצי בבוקר, מוקד זקה שמאויש על ידי גוי, מחייג אליי, אמר לי, יש משהו חריג, תנסה לראות מה קורה. עצמה רגל, יריות, חדירה, צפתי ישר קשר עם החמ"ל, ואף אחד לא ידע מה קורה. לקראת השעה 10 בבוקר, כבר הבנו ששבוע אירוע גדול, יצאו צוות ראשוני מאזור אשקלון, מאזור אשדוד.
I called up 2 of my volunteers in Ashdod, and they joined me, went into the car. I couldn't even help for my kids and my wife anything.
עם צאת שבת והחג, כ-180 מתנדבי זקה יצאו לזירות השונות.
לא כדי התקפות, ואלה שמפריחים אותנו, ירי צלפים, שותים על הרצפה. עד שמשאירים לנו לקום, 5 דקות, 10 דקות, ואז אנחנו ממשיכים לעבוד.
עשינו כביש 232 משדרות לדרום בארי, לכביש של 10 דקות נסיעה, כ-80 מתנדבים כל היום, מהבוקר עד הלילה. עוד מטר, עוד גופה, עוד גופה.
And that wasn't the end. It was just the few hours of starting to collect the bodies.
Never in my life, I thought, 55 years and 33 years in Zaka, never in my life I thought that I would be loading up truckloads of bodies. It was a nightmare.
אנחנו מסתובבים פה בתוך הקיבוצים, ברחובות של בארי, כפר עזה, רעים. אנחנו מרגישים את המוות בכל מקום. הריח של הנרצחים, הריח של הגופות בכל הרחוב.
כל בית יש סיפור קשה שהמוח האנושי לא יכול לתפוס ולקלוט איך חיות אדם מסוגלים לעשות את הדבר הזה.
אני מגיע לשם, אני רואה מתנדב מגיע אליי, הוא אומר לי תיקח, מגיש לי ככה בידיים, תינוק, אולי בגיל של הבת שלי, 2 פלוס. אני מגיש את היד, אינסטינקט לקבל, ואני לא מוכן לזה, לא נפשית, לא פיזית. התחיל לראות לי ככה הידיים, אני מביא את התינוק, אני אומר לו, מה אתה מביא? הוא אומר לי, אני גם לא יכול להחזיק את זה. והתינוק היה רותח. ואני זוכר שהוא פותח מיד שקית, ואני מכניס את הידיים עם התינוק פנימה לתוך השקית, הוא סוגר את זה, וככה אנחנו הולכים לאמבולנס, ושתינו בוכים.
And I see these two little kids are burned to the bone. There's nothing left from them. And we take them out of the parents' hands. We lay them down on the floor, and we put them in the bag. And every bag that you walk out of the room, you see the cake standing there, the happiness that they had before.
What we saw over there, on the wall, was written with blood, Shema Yisrael. That's it. Because they couldn't further, because they were killed already.
אומנם אנחנו עדיין כאן, נוגעים במראות, שוטפים את הידיים עם דמעות, אבל זה ממקום שאנחנו מסתכלים למשימה בעיניים ולא למראות בעיניים. והדבר הזה ראוי שיחרט ויסופר בספרי ההיסטוריה גבורתם של מתנדבי זקה שעבדו יומם בלילה בחירוף נפש, תחת אש, ולא מוכנים לוותר עד שתושלם המשימה.
4 weeks after the disaster,
אנחנו כמתנדבי זקה קיבלנו החלטה שלא נעצור ולא נעזוב פה את המקום עד שלא נביא את כל הקדושים לקבר ישראל. ואנחנו לא נשקוט. כל טיפת דם שיהודי שנרצח פה יגיע לקבר ישראל. מדי חודש וחודשיים וכמה שתצטרך. מתנדבים לא יוותרו ויבואו לפה יום אחרי יום. יעברו קיבוץ קיבוץ, יישוב יישוב, בית בית, רכב רכב. כל איפה שהיה יהודי שנרצח, אנחנו נביא את כל הדברים לקבר ישראל.
we're doing it for Klal Yisrael. This is our mission, and we promise we'll finish our mission. Am Yisrael Chai.
Please join me in welcoming the Rabbi Yossi Landau.
שבוע טוב, יתברך, good week. I don't know where to start. I don't know if I have the time or if I'm taking over the stage, then I'll know I'm trying to finish. I have a lot to say and to give you first, to give you our feelings. That means a lot. Our feelings is, first of all, thank you for your support, for willing to support us, and not only us, because we are part of Am Yisrael, and you're part of Am Yisrael, and we're all together in this mission. And unfortunately, yes, we are the group, the people that are doing their job, as mentioned before, to bring all these Kedoshim, these holy people that were killed only because they're Jewish, to bring them to give them the last respect and to respect the families. That's our mission. And I'll start a little bit, first of all, the connection with this place to our organization. I was told, I don't know who remembers that this shul, people from this shul donated our first motorcycle. If anybody remembers a person, the name Yaakov Uri, he was here, and you people gave us the first motorcycle for Zaka that was open, that we received, I would say, about 27 years ago. And now we're closing we're tying together what we have today. Zaka is an organization. There's two Zaka organizations, one for before October 7 and one is after October 7. We have 1,400 volunteers in Israel, field volunteers, that we do a daily, it's an annual, it's everyday job. It's all volunteer, only 7 or 8 people on a payroll for this organization. But what we have, Zaka is the Zihui Korbanot Ason. That's a definition. That's one definition of Zaka. It's identifying unnatural death. And the other definition is Zekiruv Achim. That means we bring the brothers together. And we saw that. Now we saw that for sure, but it happens every time. Zaka is handling every unnatural death in Israel, and they have other teams. If it's the diving team, if it's the K9 unit, it's a search and rescue team, and they work all year round for every unnatural death. It doesn't make a difference if it's Jewish or not Jewish, because, as we know, everybody is God created, and we have to give the respect for everybody. From October 7th, this organization, especially the volunteers, has changed. When in the normal circumstances, we know every car accident or something else, it could take us an hour, 2 hours to make sure that the person is getting his full respect, and the families, for sure, that's a part of our job, to notify the families, and we have to give them the respect. So it takes an hour or two, and we know. The last time we had was the 45 people in Miron that were killed. That was our major disaster. And then all the volunteers that were in charge of this tragedy went through. They had special treatments to get to make sure that it doesn't hit them, as we know. But it did. Nobody lost a job. Nobody lost anything. Now as of October 7, our volunteers on daily basis are there in the south. A lot of our volunteers lost their jobs, and a lot of our volunteers can't come back, and they can't even hug the children. They can't go home, and we had to sign up. We can't wait for the government. We can't wait for anybody. We had to sign up a contract with a special team to give them. Every volunteer is getting, it's 12 sessions, and we're talking about the cost, but this is what the volunteers are going through, and I'll explain a little bit why that happened and what happened from the view of myself and of my volunteer, of all the volunteers that were there on the scene. As we know, October 7th, Shabbos, Shabbat, Simchat Torah, 6:30 in the morning. Everybody wants to enjoy their family. Most of the people still sleeping, and when the alarm, the siren goes off, almost entire Israel. And as a commander of the south region of Israel, I live in Ashdod. I'm a father of 10 children, 22 grandchildren, beautiful, nice family, till October 7th. Hopefully they will have it back. But then, first thing, the family, the children, most of them were in my house in Ashdod, even though they live other places in Israel. They went into the shelter, but I don't know where the shelter is in my house, because every time my job is to be alert to see where it falls, where the missile hits, and to be there to help the people. So I'm just waiting to see if there's any missile hit any place. And meanwhile, I start to get on my radio that this missile attack was only a cover-up. It was a cover-up for a big invasion to a lot of places in Israel that's on the south, it's in the south. And when I talk to the police, when I talk to whoever gives us the information, if to come or not to come, told me, wait, let's see. Nobody, it was chaos, nobody knew anything what's going on. But by 10 o'clock in the morning, while I was in shul, and my kids, everybody, I got the final phone call, just leave and come. You have to come now to Sderot. I call up another 2 volunteers, told them, listen, we're going out, let's go. I met my son while running out, going home and take my equipment. And I told him, tell for mommy that I don't know when I'm going to come home, but you keep up the meals and everything. I ran out and I was starting to drive. When we got next to Yad Mordechai, there was roadblocks, and the only thing you see over there is bodies. Soldiers all on the side shooting, having a fight with terrorists that came from Zikim, from that places. And when they saw us, they told me, go, just go, and watch yourself. I was covered with a helmet, and another volunteer had a helmet with a bulletproof vest, but the other one didn't have that because we were short and we didn't have where to take it. But we said we're going. We arrived to Sderot about, I would say, 11:15. Arrived to Sderot. Sderot was a battlefield. It was something that we never had, fighting, constantly gunshots, going back and forth, seeing bodies, blood, all over. See cars just stop the middle, people in the cars, outside of the cars were shot. So the first thing that we start to do is trying to save lives. That's our mission. We're 95% of our volunteers are EMTs. So we start to look for people that we can save their lives. And thank God, Baruch Hashem, we found that people that were still alive, but badly injured. We gave them the first aid, put them into my car and another car that was behind me, and just taking them to a field hospital that was open, that they opened up in the entrance from Sderot, without knowing what's going on further, what's going on in the houses. Meanwhile, we hear that it's hostages, that they have hostage issues in houses, in police station, and we start, and then we get attacked, and we had cover up the army. They covered us, and then we started to go and to collect the bodies, all over bodies. Then we found in a car a 5-year-old child that mother and father were killed in the car. She was alive. And we managed to take her out of the car and give her we put her in a house over there that she should be safe. After she begged us that she wants to see her father and mother, unfortunately we couldn't show her. It's heartbreaking. And we started to think, the bodies, what are we going to do now with the bodies? I saw a truck parked on the street, civilian truck. I just broke the lock of that truck, and this is going to be our storage room now for the bodies. In the meanwhile, more volunteers are arriving, and we gave them, go to Ofakim. We had our volunteers go to Ofakim, 22 kilometers from Gaza, where they entered and they killed 34 people. And the police officers were heroes over there. They stopped the killing of a lot of people. And we started to work over there. We didn't have another truck, so I called up one of my drivers from my company, that I have a company with trucks, and I told him, you get now to Ofakim with the truck, we're going to use our trucks to take the bodies. We had Sderot, so I said, now we're level 1. It's the first level in Sderot. We saw that, we know how to work it. It's people injured, people killed by gunshots. But we saw that in the past, nothing what to be, only thing what bothered us is the quantity. Quantity was terrible. Then we went out to the road. It's Fish 34, it's called, right out of the road. Going to the south, going to the kibbutzim, going to Gaza. A passage that should take about 10 to 12 minutes in the normal circumstances took us 7 hours. We were there collecting bodies. We didn't even go to the burned bodies because we were in danger all the time. There were still clashes with the terrorists. So we had to make sure just to get the bodies, what we can take, and not go to the burned bodies. When we got to a car that was hit by a missile, an RPG, 5 people in that car, they were all burned completely. Then we went to the festival. So that was level 2, I would say. Okay, we had that, we know car accidents, we know things, people get burned in the car, people get shot in the car, we know that. Then we go to level 3, we go to the festival. When we arrive to the festival, the officials, the police, and the army tells us, Zaka, we need you, but we can't give you, you can't get in right now because maybe another day or two. Why? Because there's clashes and you're in danger. We cannot, they're hitting us with missiles from Gaza, and now soon, and now it's at night. That was 12 o'clock at night, midnight, but then we have, by 4:30, when sunrise, it's going to be very dangerous. Only if you promise us, that's what they told us, that you can finish this job by 4:30, then we can start to do it. Like lions, I would say like lions, I saw the eyes of the volunteers when we took them. And when I say bodies, I say wherever you put your eyes or your hands or your foot, you saw bodies and blood. That's the only thing in all. If it wasn't the garbage, it wasn't the toilets, whatever you just looked, you saw bodies, and you see the eyes of those volunteers, and they say, and we don't know what to say for the officials, for the police, if we can do that or not, but when we looked in their eyes, we said, yes, we're going to do it. 207 bodies were collected, put into body bags, gave them the full respect with 3 hours and 20 minutes. By 4:20, we were done with 207 bodies. We worked like a machine, like a robot. I'm sure that we look back now and we think this is mission impossible. It was a mission impossible to do, but we did it because this is our mission, this is what we have to do. So I said this is level 3. But then, when we get into to the kibbutz, the first kibbutz when we went in was kibbutz Be'eri. Kibbutz Be'eri, I don't know if people were there any time. It's the most nicest place in Israel till October 7. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about political side. I'm talking about place as a Gan Eden. It was beautiful. Everybody had the space. Everybody had nice place of living. When we got in, we smelled and we saw the dead. We saw what happened over there. But we thought so. And I'm sorry. This is getting now to the part that I said in the beginning, that a lot of our volunteers, and unfortunately I'm one of them, when we go home, it's very difficult for us to hug the children, grandchildren, or anybody else because what we saw. We went into a house, the first house. We had it divided into teams. Every team was 6 volunteers plus 1 commander that he's handling it. And And that commander had all the teams for 6. Every house had 6 volunteers to go in, and commander, now there was other commanders too for sure, that they went in, they got a different row of houses to go in and to start. And we can go in only, we're the second to go in the houses. The first one is basic, the army, it's called SAP, Siluk Ptsatsot, the removal of the ammunition, bomb removals, that's for our safety, because we know the amount of ammunition, the amount of bombs, that were everything that we were, and every second was a danger for us. And they went in, and they didn't look at the bodies. They just looked around, and they made sure there's nothing, no hand grenades or something that could danger our lives. And we went in with them. They're covering us with another team because there was still going terrorists. They were hiding, and they came up every other couple of minutes. Another terrorist came shooting at us while we were there. So they covered us, and we went into the house, and that soldier told me, listen, Yossi, I would recommend you go in first, and then to see what do you need, what kind of, the group, the volunteers, which one and how much. So I went into the first house, said to myself, okay, I can't do it, I can't, but we have to do it. I called in the team, I need a double team. We need 12 people over there. I called in 12 people, and I'll explain you a little bit what we saw when we got into that house. If anybody goes over there, you can go into house number 612 in Be'eri. We go in, we saw father and mother. There, when we came in, we saw only big, huge puddle of blood. The dining room was just blood. Then we see on one side of the table, by the wall, father and mother, hands tied to the back. They're on the knees, head down, shot in the back. Okay. The other side of the room, exactly against them, was 2 children. Young girl, a young boy, same position. Calling the guys, I told them, listen, we have to. Then we started to think, and afterwards, when we spoke to I spoke to volunteers, everybody had the same thoughts like me. We're thinking, who saw father, mother, they saw the kids while they were being tortured. Kids saw the father and mother while they were being tortured. And when I say tortured, missing body pieces. Those terrorists were eating the meal on their table while they were torturing this family, and then killed them in the with a shotgun. So my team told me, Yossi, we can't do it. We have to go home. We have to leave. I told them, no. I'll do something crazy, and you have to be prepared for that. I set them down, all the volunteers in the middle, in the puddle of blood, and just sitting. We took our hands all together, and we started to sing a song, Ani Ma'amin. Another song, Achenu B'nai Yisrael, Shir HaMa'alot. And then I looked in their eyes and I saw, okay, but now we want to do something. I pulled out a knife. I cut open the strings that from their hands, from those victims, and I said for our volunteers, everybody is going to hold the hand of these victims, and let's make a promise right now over here. We will not leave this place and all other places till everybody is going to come to Kever Yisrael and to have and to be identified. This is going to be our promise. We did the promise. This is the reason why we're still working right now, even though all the bodies were taken. Yes, not all of them were identified. Only last week we found a little bone, and it was identified as a 10-year-old child that was burned because they put gasoline. They made sure that nothing to be left over, but we found, and we're going to find everything. Hopefully we're going to find everything that can come to identification, to identify those holy brothers and sisters that were killed. So this is what our volunteers are facing right now when we go home and they have children, a 6-year-old child, 7-year-old child. They can't look at the face. They can't hug them. Then we go further. We hit the Marpa'ah, there was a big fighting over there in the clinic. We saw what went on over there. We saw exactly what went on over there. People that they came running and to hide themselves in the clinic, just brutally killed over there. The paramedic over there that she was fighting, she was raped and she was killed because she tried to fight back. And then we go to 426. We are after 426. House number 426 in the area. It's a nightmare. When we come in over there, we see in the front a lot of blood. We don't see anybody. We don't see anything in the front. When we go in, we just open up the door. We see the body is right over there. There's a lady on the floor, on her stomach. The amount of blood didn't make any sense for us. We know, unfortunately, we know when a person gets shot or something, the amount of blood that should be, but over here was like, didn't make any sense. So I told my crew, let's wait outside, let's do it alone, let's see what's going on. I went in with my assistant, and we have to turn over the body. Why? Because this is the way we put in the bags for identification. It should be easier to identify if we have to open up and look at the face. This is a part of that we have to do, but something didn't let me turn over this body. I saw what's going on. This was a lady, the 9th month pregnant. They butchered open her stomach. That baby, mature baby, had a could have seen the face of the baby. It had just one stab, knife stab in the head. And the knife is right over there. I went into my volunteers, I told them, listen, this is something I can do, maybe you can. Now it's their turn to encourage me. Yossi, we're gonna do it. We had a debate. We started to think, we had started to argue, 2 arguments. One was, if the mother saw that, if the mother felt it, or she was killed first and then they did it. And the second was, if we should use 1 body bag or 2 body bags. I started to tell them, listen, I have children married, my kids, pregnant, I see them, I know your wife. Everybody has over here is a husband and is a father. Could we do this? Now the same thing that we had before, we did it. We did it, we put them in 1 bag because they died together, they have to be together in 1 bag. I can tell you that last week, Friday, I received, as a tzollah in Ashdod, a call that a woman, she doesn't feel well. I came not far from my house. When I opened the door, I came in, she was a pregnant woman. I just turned myself around, I couldn't look at her. And this is what I hear from all our volunteers. They're so down, but they still, in their eyes, they have their holiness in their eyes, and that they have to finish the mission. When we went into Kfar Aza, and we saw 2 piles of children. 2 piles of children. It was piled up, hands tied to the back, not even shot, but burned. It took us for 30 volunteers 5 hours to separate them because they were all together, burned together. Next to the lunchroom. They took all the kids. They just gathered the kids, and that's what they did with them. Our volunteers, they're angels, but they're not angels. They're all people. They all have a family. My first message 6 weeks ago, that was Motzei Shabbat, 6 o'clock, was to the world, please pray for us that we should go home and be normal to raise our kids, and to be normal parents, normal father. And thank you, I would say thank you for the world, for Am Yisrael, for Klal Yisrael, that they're doing it. Because as I see it, it's impossible in the world. It's impossible I say impossible, whatever we saw. And I don't know if there's anybody over here in this room that saw that video that the government, 47 minutes that they gave out, that it's horrific and it's horrible. And I would say that's only 10% what our volunteers saw, only 10%. So you just use your imagination, what we saw and what we went through. We are here now. Yes, we never did it. I never did it. I'm not ashamed, because I'm not ashamed to ask for help, because we feel, and I'm sure you feel, that we're one part. We're Klal Yisrael, and we're doing it for Klal Yisrael, for Am Yisrael. Our equipment that was supposed to be for 5 years was emptied out in 2 days. Only to cover, we came out this Friday, 8:30 in the morning, I'm in New York, I receive a phone call from a person in Ashdod. He's not a volunteer, but his neighbor is a volunteer, and he told me, your volunteer next is my neighbor, and he gave me the name. He doesn't have anything for Shabbos. He lost his job. Why? Because he was there 5 weeks on the scene. He lost his job. This is like I just called up the grocery guy. I told him, listen, take my credit card for now, and just send him home. I gave him the amount, send him home everything. And that's what he did. And this is phone calls that we're getting every day. That means that, and in order for us to go further and to be helpful for after October 7th, it's going to take still time, but for daily, for yearly users, we need your help. And thank you for hosting us, and really appreciate it. And I met Rabbi Trump in Israel. He was, Rabbi Trump, did you tell them the story that Kfar Aza with that person? Yes.
Just have the lights on. I want to show a video that was taken by our own Jeff Freeling in Kfar Aza last week. I want to talk about this video for just a moment.
ובחיים, וחבל שהיינו צריכים להגיע לדבר הזה, להיות כמה אנחנו מאוחדים. ואני יכול להגיד לך שבזכות זה אנחנו נתחזק כל כך חזק שאף אחד לא יכול לנצח אותנו. ואני לא צריך לספר לך מה שהיה עד השביעי באוקטובר ברחובות, בכל מקום איפה שהיה, אם זה נגד חרדים וכל זה. אנחנו באנו לפה, ואני לא לבד. הפקדתי את הבית שלי, את העבודה שלי, וכולם. אנחנו לא מקבלים כסף מהמדינה, מהממשלה, אנחנו לא בצווי 8, אנחנו בצווי 8 אזרחים. אנחנו באנו רק בשביל האחים שלנו, אחים ואחיות. ואתה יודע איפה זה הכי כאב לנו? אנחנו היינו צריכים לטפל גם במחבלים העולים
I'm going to stop there for a second. We have the lights for a moment. Rabbi Yossi, do you want to explain the context of who this person is and why it's such a significant conversation?
He's a young boy. He lives He lived in Kfar Aza, where it's called Mo'anot HaTzirim, the youngsters. It was a massacre over there. We picked up in this area 19 people. It's right in front of the gate where they broke in. He was captured already by the terrorists. He was captured. He ran away while he was over the fence. He ran away from them. And he's alive. All his friends were killed. And when we were there, we met him as he's very frustrated, very angry, for sure, against the government, against everybody that's moving. I took him and I went over to him and I told him our relationship, what we are for him, and how we feel for him and how he should feel with us. Go further.
And just to we'll continue a little bit of this conversation, just to get a sense of this. Remember, this person is from the liberal left of Israel, speaking to a Haredi individual from Ashdod. We never have had a conversation beforehand up to this point. Now meeting, you look in the background, you can see the burned roofs of where he used to live. This was a massacre in this entire area. Every house was destroyed completely.
המשימה לאומית. גם בשביל ההחלפות, בשביל ויכוח, וגם להראות שאנחנו אחרת מאוד. אנחנו מכבדים את מי שבורא עולם ברא, כל ייצור, אנחנו לקחנו מפה ומבארי ומכל מיני כלבים, כל מיני חיות לתת את זה למשפחות שיכולים, אנחנו רחמנו עליהם, הבאנו להם אוכל, שמנו להם, בכל פינה שמנו להם אוכל, ראינו אותם ללכת לבד ברחוב, אף אחד לא טיפל בהם, הם יצורים מהחיים. הם יצורים מריבונו של עולם, הוא יצר אותם. אנחנו צריכים להראות שאנחנו אחרת, וזה מה שאנחנו.
הם עושים עבודת קודש, אבל אני תרשה לי לחלוק עליך שאתה חולק עליך. זה שאנחנו עכשיו מאוחדים,
הולך
לא רוצה להיכנס לשיח הזה, כי יש לי הרבה מה להישאר,
We're not going to get there. There was a continuation of the debate as to what the government's response should be, which was the continuation. That was not the
yes, but he's. You can see his angriness, and he's angry. You want to finish the end? What happened?
Listen, I don't know if it's on this video. Let's see. I'm not sure it's on this video. Let's see.
Yes, it is.
Is that here?
Yes, it is.
והוא.
Go back.
תושים שאין להם, הם מסובבים ובזכותם אלפי יהודים.
I just explained them.
אני מסתכל
why
על
they're
זה
so
כמו זכות.
holy.
אני רוצה
They
לך
saved thousands and thousands of people, and I'll explain it afterwards. Why? This is the only thing that was left over from his house. Shows me the mezuzah.
וואו. סמבול.
זה והוא.
This is the only thing. He and the mezuzah was left over.
לבד. בצוד הייתה יציאה לפני. ובנס יצא ביום שישי. זה מה שעושים את שלנו, לא נותנים לסדר.
רוצה לשמוע סיפור? מכפר עזה, משפחה. היה משפחה שהיא החליטה, האישה, עם ילדים, היא החליטה קצת להתחזק ביהדות ולשמור שבת.
This person, I finally, I just want to tell you what happened in the end with this person. He called me up to ask me when is Shabbos coming, and he wants to start to keep Shabbos. I convinced him, no, don't do it, it's going to be very hard for you. Maybe try something else. Then he decided that he's going to keep Shabbos only till the morning. He's going to try till the morning. He wants to do it Shabbos because of the story I told him. I don't know if you heard the story, so a lot of people, they know the story. Whoever doesn't know, there was a family that the mother decided that she wants to start to keep Shabbos, and her husband didn't agree. So every Shabbos she went to a family member out of the kibbutz, and then after a couple of months, her husband decided he's going to join her. And everybody kibbutz is not a Shomer Shabbat, so it's very difficult. So they decided that every Shabbat they'll go away for the Shabbat. And this Shabbat they had guests. They were there in the kibbutz, but on the maps from those terrorists was like an X, because it was written that they are not home for Shabbos. And while they were there, they just skipped their house and they were saved. He decided he wants to keep Shabbos. That I just want, and it's thousands of stories like that. And I know when Rabbi Trump was there, the soldiers that came to me afterwards, the help, the courage that they received, the soldiers, even a government official called me up last week that from the community through Rabbi Trump, that the strength and the chizuk that they received, it's unbelievable. And the same thing for us. I want to thank you. And we want to keep it up. And thank you for your help. Nothing else left to say. If you want a bracha, go to these guys that says over here. Forget about me. Those guys with the yellow vest, they're capable and they're brachas because, as you know, those hands, we took over 1,200 bodies that we handled. And those can give you the brachas, and it's gonna happen. So you have an opportunity, just go do it.
I want to just say something which is important, is I was under the impression that the government takes care of everything, right? And I asked Yossi about this. Isn't the government doing something? The government received and processed the bodies. The Zaka was the institution that brought the bodies to Shura, to the next stage, and did this single-handedly, not as you heard on the video, not as a Tzav Shmoneh. These people were not part of the army. These are regular, soft, wonderful, caring fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers, wonderful people who took over their time to ensure that there should be Kfuras Yisrael. Who can ever imagine? I'd like to invite everybody up over here, just all the chevra together. And we need a little bit together. I think we're going to do a song, just a song together, Bobby Yakad. And I think we just Mitzi David. Please join us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you the rachmim because you're people who have special hearts. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give your hearts back to you, Be'ezras Hashem. You should continue, your family should continue, and Be'ezras Hashem should bring bracha, unity to Klal Yisrael, should be able to live with shalom together. And Rabbi said it's not just enough to sing songs. On the way out, we're all going to make sure that we support the Avodas HaKodesh that has been done and that will be done as well. Please take a moment to come, say Yasher Koach, to shake hands, to give a hug, to hear the stories of these special Malach and Rabbis. And on the way out, write a check to make sure. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing. People ask, how could you do this job? We can do it for one reason. The hug, the thank you, the nice word everybody says, that gives us the strength. It's so important that, people think, it's nothing, it's somebody else. No, that small word, even that small donation, or people can, even $5, every little bit just shows the support. That's what keeps us going. Thank you, everybody, and Shabbat Tov. Thank you.
I almost forgot to mention there's a special concert tomorrow night in Brooklyn, in Manhattan. A unity concert with all the most incredible performers for Zaka. If you don't know about it yet, please ask me. I have all the details I can send you to be able to support this incredible effort. Yasher Koach. Thank you, everybody.